Hello there, welcome to this motivational Clean With Me video. Maybe you have a space in your own home that you're wanting to get tidied up or cleaned up. So I hope that putting up this video can give you some inspiration to get things cleaned up. Maybe it feels a little bit like you're cleaning alongside a friend who's cleaning their house as well. So whatever it is that you're working on, go ahead and get your workstation set up and get ready for a productive time of cleaning. I think that making the bed is one of the best places to start when you're going to do an entire house makeover. If you're ready to get the whole house in shape, get everything cleaned up, tidied up, making the bed gives you a great work surface to work on later for something like folding laundry. And it also is one of the quickest and most transformative things you can do. Washing a sink full of dishes is super transformative to the space, but it can take a really long time. Making the bed you can normally do in just a couple of minutes, and the entire room already looks happier, cleaner, neater. And so I think that starting with a quick win like making the bed is a great way to start an entire house cleaning makeover. Once you finish making your bed, you may want to do a little bit of tidying up, maybe gathering up some laundry that needs to be washed and cleaning off countertops or dresser tops. Here I was tidying up my earrings, putting them onto my earring tree, all those little odds and ends that get tossed around, hair ties, things like that. Now, the night before this entire house cleaning marathon, we had some friends over to our house for a dinner party, and there were just some crumbs on the floor. So I pulled out the vacuum to get that off the floor, get the carpets all nice and clean. I had recently vacuumed, so it wasn't bad. It was just some residue from the party that we'd been having. So getting that cleaned was really nice. I think that vacuuming is one of those chores that maybe I overlook more often than some of the other chores, and it really isn't that difficult just to pull out the vacuum cleaner and to get the floors clean. And I love those crisp, fresh vacuum lines that you see, that you know that you have a clean floor and you're not stepping on crumbs or tracking a mess anywhere as you're walking through your house. Another great thing to do whenever you start an entire house cleaning marathon is to put on a load of laundry, because when you're done, whether it be washing dishes or tidying up or picking up toys, you can have the laundry done so you can go ahead and sort it. If you don't put the laundry on until the end of your cleaning marathon, then you're gonna have to come back and get that laundry later, and you'll probably be out of the mindset of cleaning the house. So it's just a way to keep the laundry from piling up and to make sure you can get it all done in one fell swoop. Now, my dishwasher doesn't exactly work. It does run, but it leaves a sticky residue all over the dishes, especially all over my mixing bowls. So we have decided for the time being, my husband and I, that we are just going to hand wash all of our dishes instead of trying to do something about the dishwasher. I tried some various dishwasher detergents. I put the Rinse Aid in it. I used the most expensive dishwasher detergent that I could find, and it just wasn't working for us. So we hand washed the dishes. And if you had told me a year ago that I would be hand washing all of my dishes, I would have thought you were crazy and that there was no way that I could live like that. That it would take entirely too long, that I would never get anything else done, and that I'd always have a messy kitchen if I had to hand wash all those dishes. But honestly, it has not been horrible. Now, I must give credit where credit is due. My husband does a lot of dishes for me as well, so it has not all been the burden on me to get all the dishes done, but I have washed my fair share of dishes as well. And once you get going and get started, it's really not as bad as one would think. I would have thought that it would be a completely overwhelming process for me, and it's really not been too bad. So if you're having to hand wash your dishes, I am right there with you. I definitely understand the struggle, but once you get started, I find that oftentimes you hit a groove and it's not as bad as you may have feared before you got started. One little trick you can do, especially if you're hand washing a lot of dishes, is take your sponge Get it a little bit wet after you rinse it out, squeeze it out, all of that. Then get it a little bit wet and pop it in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds just to sanitize it, because those sponges, they pick up so much. I mean, that is what it is. It is a sponge. It's intended to pick things up. So popping it in the microwave for a few seconds with a little bit of water can help to sanitize it. Do be very, very careful when you take it back out, because it can get very hot very quickly. So please be careful not to burn yourself. But that's something that I do on occasion when I'm not ready to get a new sponge, because the sponge is still in decent shape, but it just needs to get a little bit cleaner. Another thing that's helpful is to totally empty the sink of dishes. I find it's hard to wash dishes in a sink that is full of dishes. So if you can put them on the countertop around you and have that workspace for you to work in while you're washing your dishes, that can be really, really helpful. Also, washing out the sink before you start washing your dishes is a good practice. You just don't want to be putting your clean dishes into a sink that has food residue in it or that is already dirty. So if you take just a minute to wash the sink before you wash your dishes in the sink, it can save you from spreading unintentional mess. I just let the sink fill up with water so I had a spot to rinse my dishes. I also dropped a little scrubber down the garbage disposal, which I thankfully was able to get back out, but that took a little bit of digging, so try not to drop anything into the garbage disposal. And also, do pay attention to which side your garbage disposal is on. I know that sounds obvious, but when I first went to fill up my sink with water, I filled up the side that had the garbage disposal, and I realized that wasn't going to work very well because I needed the garbage disposal to wash all my dishes. So just pay attention to that whenever you're filling your sink with water, which side is your garbage disposal on. I know some people have those farmhouse sinks, so maybe your sink doesn't have two sides to it. I am really hoping to have one of those really big farmhouse sinks one day. If you have one, let me know in the comments how that is for you, and if you find that washing dishes in it is easier than washing dishes in this divided type of sink. I find that especially bigger dishes, it's really hard to wash them in the sink that is divided because I can hardly get the dish down into the sink to wash it. I will put a link down below to all of the cleaning supplies that I used in this video. There aren't too many cleaning supplies that I used that I think are just extra special. There's nothing really about my vacuum cleaner that I would go out and recommend that everyone get the same vacuum cleaner that I have. But in case you're curious, I will link to the dish soap that I use, the sponges I use, some things like that. Also, those dish drying mats and the dish rack, I will include links to those in the blog post down below. But having dish drying mats has been really helpful with hand washing all the dishes. It's something I hadn't really used before because I typically had a dishwasher, so I didn't need the dish drying mats, but I leave a mat out all the time, and it just gives you that place to put your dishes. Once you wash them, let them drain off onto the mat. So I have found that to be really helpful. Also, the wooden pegs that you see, that's a little plate dryer holder. It was super affordable on Amazon. I'll also include a link to that. I really like that for holding plates, cutting boards, bowls, even cups. I found that if I put a cup face down on the dish drying mat just by itself, it kind of doesn't dry all the way inside. It kind of creates this closed system where the water can't evaporate out of it, and so it just stays in the cup and gets stale instead of drying. So I like being able to prop the cups up on something so they can just drip dry and get totally dry over on the drying mat. Also, of course, taking a towel and hand drying is a really good practice as well. The other thing that has been a lifesaver for me with washing dishes is using gloves while washing the dishes, especially in the winter when my hands tend to get dry. Sometimes they'll even get cracked and start to bleed because of washing our hands a lot and just the drier air. If my hands are in dishwater all the time, they are much more likely to get even more dry. So I love using gloves, but even in the summer when I'm not as worried about drying out my hands, I just don't love the feeling of having to touch everything that I'm touching on the dishes. Every bit of grime or old food or whatever it is that's on the dishes, having the gloves just gives me that barrier, and it's a much more pleasant experience for me to wash the dishes. So if you've never used gloves while washing the dishes, I definitely recommend getting a pair. They're normally only $2 or $3 at whatever grocery store it is that you go to. Wherever you get your cleaning supplies, you can probably find them, and I think it makes it so much more pleasant of an experience to wash the dishes. Just do be very, very careful not to get water down in the glove, because my husband and I have run into that ourselves, and it is very difficult to get the inside of the glove to be dry, and it is far, far more unpleasant to stick your hand in a wet glove than it is to stick your hand into just a sink full of water. If the gloves are wet, I absolutely will not use them. And sometimes it can take days for it to get dry if you're not propping the glove up upside down and letting it air out and all of that. So just be very careful to keep the inside of the gloves dry because they can be very difficult to dry out if they do get wet. I have pretty small hands and I'm using the Playtex gloves that are a size medium. So just pay attention to the size that you're getting because they do come in different sizes. These gloves do not fit my husband's hands. We actually have to get 2 pairs of gloves so that we have a pair that fits my hands and a pair that fits his hands. So do pay attention to that because the packaging all looks the same. It just has the little size up in the corner. So pay attention if you're going to buy some gloves that you're getting the size that's going to fit your hands the best. One thing that I should have done with this set of dishes is soaked some of my dishes. Our party ran late and we wanted to get to bed so that we could get up and go to work the next day. And so I just left all the dishes out, which included a bowl that I had mixed up brownies in and some other containers and bowls that had different types of food in them. If you can soak your dishes before washing them, especially if they have some leftover dough or batter in them, it's going to make it a lot easier to wash them because whenever there is that hardened chocolate or whatever it may be inside the bowl, it can be really hard to wash out. It just saves you a lot of trouble if you can let it soak so that it slides out easily whenever you are ready to wash your dishes. The other thing about hand washing my dishes is that for some of them, it really is better for them. And I have certainly been one to be lazy and stick things in the dishwasher that probably shouldn't go in the dishwasher. So it may be a blessing in disguise that I have to hand wash so many dishes. That right there that I just washed is my Ninja Foodie cooking pot for my pressure cooker. And stuff like that, it probably really is better to hand wash. A lot of times knives, it's a lot better to hand wash. Pots and pans are better for hand washing, so even if you are using a dishwasher, you may consider hand washing some of those dishes. Give it a try. I know it takes longer than loading the dishwasher, but it really isn't too terrible. Also, be sure that you're keeping fresh soap on your sponge and be sure that you're keeping your sponge cleaned off and wrung out. You don't want to get food all over your sponge and then rub the food from the sponge all over your next dish that you're trying to clean. I also occasionally wash my hands, even with the gloves on them, if they've just been touching a lot of old food or when I had to reach down the garbage disposal. Just putting some soap and washing your hands just like normal, it's just that you have gloves on, can help keep the gloves nice and clean as you're touching your clean dishes. I certainly have been guilty of letting my dishes just air dry and leaving them out on the counter for days on end, even after washing them. But if you can just take the extra 5 minutes it takes to dry them off with a towel and get them put away, it really is going to make your kitchen look so much better. And you'll know that that task is totally done instead of still walking into the kitchen. And while you're seeing a stack of clean dishes, you're still seeing that stack of dishes. So whenever you have the opportunity to get those dishes put away, I know sometimes we're on a hurry on the way out the door or something like that, so maybe you can't always get them put away right away, but if you can, just take the extra 5 to 10 minutes to dry them off and put them away because it really will make a big difference in how your kitchen looks and feels. I know that for me, having a clean kitchen makes me so much more likely to cook a healthy meal or to have a good morning experience whenever I'm making my coffee. It makes a really big difference to me whenever I have cleaned the coffee maker the night before and I can just get up in the morning and make my coffee. If the coffee maker is ready to go, I am probably more likely to make my husband's coffee as well. So I get to start his morning well by handing him a cup of coffee when he gets up, and I get to start my morning well by having my coffee just easy, ready to go, instead of having to wash dishes first thing in the morning when I get up. So just think about setting yourself up for success. Think about when you have the most energy and when you need things to be easiest for you. Also, be sure to clear off those countertops that are the clutter accumulators. There's all sorts of spaces like that, I think, in everyone's home, where people just walk by, they throw their keys, they throw their laptop, they throw the mail that they grabbed just on the counter. So make sure you keep an eye on those spaces and keep them clutter-free. It just creates such a more peaceful environment. You know you're not overlooking any important papers that may have gotten set down or anything like that. We have a little coffee station set up in our kitchen, and I have yet to figure out how to keep coffee grounds from accumulating on the counter. I need to clean this area at least once a week. Honestly, I could probably clean it once a day and it wouldn't be bad for it. There just are coffee grounds and all sorts of mess everywhere, but we love our coffee maker. We have the Mr. Coffee Cafe Barista. It is a very affordable espresso maker. So if you are a coffee connoisseur and you are really going to be able to tell the difference between fine espresso and cheapy espresso, this is probably not the coffee maker for you. But if you just want to upgrade from the traditional pot coffee, but at a reasonable budget, I do highly recommend the Mr. Coffee Cafe Barista. I did read on some of the reviews that the longevity on it was in question, that it didn't work for years and years and years for some people. And I will be so sad if and when it breaks, because we use it every single day. But even if it only works for a year for us, I still think it will save us money on coffee, because those Starbucks lattes are so expensive, and I truly find the coffee from the Cafe Barista to be delicious. I've even gotten to the point where I like it better than going to Starbucks. So definitely check that out. I will also leave a link to that down below. It does take a little bit of maintenance, especially for cleaning. It's one of those items that I have to clean pretty much every single day, and that can get a little bit tedious, but I really do enjoy my morning coffee. It does definitely save us money on not going out to coffee shops all the time, so for us, it's very worth it. We had a refrigerator leaking problem, so we had a towel on the floor trying to pick up the water. Thankfully that's fixed now, but I don't normally just keep a towel in the middle of the kitchen floor, but in this case it was a necessity just to keep things mopped up, because we would wake up in the morning and there would be water all the way across the floor. But thankfully the refrigerator should be fixed from its leaking problem now. I currently use the Everspring all-purpose cleaner. I had an all-purpose cleaner from Fresh Time that I absolutely loved. It was some sort of eucalyptus and mint all-purpose cleaner. So if you have a Fresh Time near you and you see that cleaner in stores, I highly recommend it. I loved it, but I have not been able to find it in recent years. So I'm using Everspring here, and I've been enjoying it just fine. I will probably stick with this, or at least with this brand. I'd also consider using 7th generation, something like that. So I'll leave a link to this cleaner down below, and it's been working totally fine. Honestly, it works the same as the Fresh Time cleaner. I think I just loved the scent of the Fresh Time cleaner more than anything. Like I said at the beginning of this video, having that made bed to start with is just so nice, because you have a work surface that is ready for you whenever you need to fold laundry or whatever it is that you may do. Laundry is one of those chores. When I was little, I could not stand folding the laundry. I don't know what it was, and my mom did laundry every day, so it wasn't like there was all that much laundry. There were 5 of us in my family, so it was just 5 people's worth of clothes for one day. So typically that would only be a total of 5 outfits. Maybe someone had sports or something, so they had an extra outfit, but it wasn't that big of a deal, but I could not stand it. I don't mind it as much now that I'm older, and I will say, if you do laundry more often, it does make the process less overwhelming. If you are only doing laundry once a week or every 10 days, you have so much laundry that you have to run through various loads, and you have to get it dry, and then you have to fold it, and it can just be this huge mound of laundry. But if you are doing laundry every day, every other day, your loads are small, and that is actually a good thing. I know some people wait till they have a full load of laundry to do, but if you can run a smaller load, then you only have a few shirts or a few pairs of pants to fold up, and it just makes the whole process so much faster. You can be done with your laundry in about 5 minutes if you just stick with the smaller loads that you do regularly. It's not too hard to get them in the washer, in the dryer. So that is my encouragement to you if laundry is something you struggled with. Also, I file fold my t-shirts and I keep them in color order. I just like this method of storing them. So if you've never tried it, then I would recommend doing that. I think it looks really eye-catching. I used the 7th generation multi-purpose wipes on my bathroom sink and on the toilet, and to be perfectly honest, I don't know if I can exactly recommend them. They were incredibly sudsy. They were far more sudsy than I expected them to be. So I like using 7th generation cleaners because they are plant-based and I feel confident rubbing them on the surfaces on my home that people are going to be touching and maybe, probably not eating food in the bathroom, but in the kitchen or something where there may be food on the countertops. But these were incredibly sudsy. They were the lemongrass citrus scent, and they could have done with a bit more citrus and a bit less lemongrass. I didn't think they smelled that great either. So I will link to them, but they were not my favorite, but they did get things clean, so I suppose they did what they needed to do. I used the Scrubbing Bubbles wand for cleaning the toilet. It has the flushable wipes that you use on the toilet to get it clean. So whenever you're done cleaning the toilet, you just get to release it and flush it, and it's super easy. So I love that. And the orange scent of the Scrubbing Bubbles is so good. It smells so good. It's weird that a toilet cleaner smells so good, but I really do like the scent of that toilet cleaner. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you got your cleaning project done, whatever it may be, and we will see you next time.